I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
We're going crazy.
Crazy.
When Sean Diddy Combs' properties were raided in March of 2024, there was a lot of speculation about what might be found inside and whether it would be connected to any of his celebrity friends and acquaintances. As Homeland Security agents poured out of his mansions in LA and Miami with boxes full of electronics, there were rumors that if Combs filmed his elaborate sex performances called freak-offs or other parties, there could be video evidence of possible criminal activity. And the celebrity at the center of a lot of rumors, warranted or not, was Justin Bieber. But now, during week 1 of Combs' criminal trial, the singer has officially responded to allegations that Combs may have abused him as he was coming up in the music industry. We're going to talk about that right now.
One of the more recent and strange interactions between Bieber and Diddy occurred in 2021. In video footage, Bieber greets Diddy with what appears to be genuine warmth, but something odd happens. Diddy seems to pat down Bieber's chest in what some have speculated was checking for a wire. While this interpretation can't be confirmed, the interaction adds another layer of suspicion to their already complicated relationship. Despite this awkward encounter, the two would go on to collaborate on Diddy's 2023 track Moments from his album, The Love Album, Off the Grid. This 2021 interaction took place at a private party in Los Angeles, where Bieber approached Diddy with a smile and open arms. Their embrace appeared friendly on the surface, but close analysis of the footage reveals a moment that has since become the subject of intense speculation. As they pull away from their hug, Diddy's hands linger on Bieber's chest and torso in a motion that resembles a security pat-down, the kind law enforcement uses to check for recording devices or weapons. Digital forensics experts who have analyzed the footage note that the movement is quick but deliberate. Diddy's hands move in a specific pattern across Bieber's chest, sides, and upper back. It's not consistent with a typical greeting between friends, observed one security consultant who has trained bodyguards for high-profile celebrities. The movements match what we teach as a quick tactical check for wires or recording devices. If Diddy was indeed checking for a recording device, it raises troubling questions about what he might have been concerned Bieber would record, and why he would worry about being recorded in the first place. It suggests a level of paranoia and secretiveness that aligns with the behavior of someone engaged in activities they want to keep hidden. Body language experts have also noted changes in Bieber's demeanor before and after the alleged pat-down. His approach appears confident and relaxed, but after the physical contact, his posture becomes more rigid and his smile seems forced. These subtle shifts could indicate discomfort or surprise at being checked for a recording device in what should have been a friendly encounter. What makes this interaction even more puzzling? Justin Bieber and Diddy, the dark side of fame. I don't really have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours he's with me, and we gonna go full crazy. These were the words Sean Diddy Combs used to describe his plans with a 15-year-old Justin Bieber in a video that has now resurfaced amidst one of the biggest scandals in entertainment history. What happened during those 48 hours? And why has Bieber remained silent about his relationship with Diddy for so long? The entertainment industry has long been shrouded in whispers of inappropriate power dynamics, predatory behavior, and exploitation of young talent. For decades, these rumors circulated through Hollywood parties, recording studios, and industry events, rarely breaking through to public consciousness. But in recent years, the veil has been lifted on many of these dark secrets, toppling once untouchable figures and exposing systems that enabled abuse. Sean Diddy Combs, a titan of the music industry who built an empire worth billions, now finds himself at the center of perhaps the most explosive entertainment scandal since the Me Too movement began. And orbiting this scandal are questions about the experiences of one of the world's biggest pop stars during his formative teenage years. When federal agents raided Diddy's mansions in Los Angeles and Miami in March 2024, they emerged with boxes of electronics and evidence that would ultimately lead to shocking criminal charges. The music mogul now sits in a New York courtroom facing serious allegations of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. But among the numerous disturbing stories emerging from the case, one question has haunted the public. Was Justin Bieber one of Diddy's victims? The raids themselves were a scene straight out of a Hollywood thriller. In the early morning hours of March 25, 2024, dozens of Homeland Security investigations agents descended on Combs' properties simultaneously. Neighbors reported seeing federal agents in tactical gear carrying out computers, hard drives, and boxes of potential evidence. The scale of the operation stunned the entertainment world. This wasn't just a routine investigation, but a coordinated federal effort years in the making. As news helicopters hovered overhead, capturing footage of agents loading evidence into government vehicles, Speculation ran wild about what might be contained in those digital devices. Were there videos of the infamous freak-offs, sex parties, that Combs allegedly orchestrated and sometimes recorded? Would the evidence implicate other celebrities? And perhaps most disturbingly, would it reveal exploitation of minors in the music industry? The criminal indictment, when it was finally unsealed, painted a horrifying picture of a man who allegedly used his power, wealth, and influence to manipulate, coerce, and abuse victims for decades. Prosecutors described a criminal enterprise built around fulfilling Combs's sexual desires, intimidating those who might speak out, and maintaining his public image as a respectable businessman. Former associates began coming forward with stories that suggested the charges were just the tip of the iceberg. But as shocking as the official allegations were, the whispers about Combs's relationship with Justin Bieber during the singer's teenage years took on new significance in light of the criminal charges. Justin Bieber's rise to fame reads like a Hollywood fairy tale with a dark undertone. Discovered on YouTube at just 12 years old, the Canadian singer was thrust into the spotlight and surrounded by powerful industry figures who would shape his career. Among his early mentors was R&B superstar Usher, who himself had been mentored by none other than Sean Diddy Combs years earlier. This connection created a direct pipeline between the teenage Bieber and one of music's most powerful, and as we now know, potentially dangerous figures. The story of Bieber's discovery has been told countless times. A small-town boy from Stratford, Ontario, posting homemade singing videos online, caught the attention of talent manager Scooter Braun, who flew the 13-year-old to Atlanta to record demo tapes. What followed was a meteoric rise that few child stars have ever experienced. Within months, Bieber was performing for Usher, signing a record deal, and being groomed for global superstardom. The speed at which this young boy went from obscurity to international fame is staggering, and concerning in retrospect. He was a child navigating an adult world filled with money, power, and exploitation, with no real protection or oversight. Unlike child actors, who are generally subject to labor, laws that limit working hours, and require on-set teachers and guardians, young musicians often operate in a regulatory gray area. While Bieber's mother, Patty Millett, initially accompanied him, the demands of global touring and promotion meant that the teenager was often surrounded primarily by adults with financial interests in his success, rather than his well-being. Enter Usher Raymond IV, already a massive star when he took Bieber under his wing. Usher's involvement gave Bieber instant credibility in R&B and hip-hop circles, opening doors that might otherwise have remained closed to a white Canadian teen singer. But Usher's own career trajectory created an unsettling parallel. In the 1990s, a teenage Usher had been sent to live with Sean Combs in New York, a music boot camp of sorts where the young singer was exposed to Combs's lavish adult lifestyle. Years later, Usher would describe this period as formative, but would hint at experiencing things that were inappropriate for his age. "I got a chance to see some things," Usher once cryptically told an interviewer. The implication was clear. His education under Diddy's tutelage went far beyond music. With this precedent established, it seems almost inevitable that Bieber would eventually find himself in Diddy's orbit. By 2009, when Bieber was 15 and his first major hit One Time was climbing the charts, Diddy began taking a public interest in the young star. What began as social media exchanges and public appearances soon evolved into private gatherings and the now infamous 48 hours that would later raise so many questions. What exactly was the nature of this relationship between a powerful man in his 40s and a teenage boy experiencing his first taste of fame? As Diddy's trial unfolds, previously overlooked videos of his interactions with a young Bieber have taken on a much more sinister tone. In one particularly uncomfortable clip, Diddy puts his arm around Bieber in what appears to be a studio, confronting him about why they haven't been spending time together. "Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out," Diddy says. Bieber, looking visibly uncomfortable, responds that Diddy never gave him his personal number. The exchange is brief but telling, especially considering what we now know about Diddy's alleged predatory behavior. Social media has transformed into a digital archaeological dig site, with users unearthing and re-examining years-old footage of interactions between the two stars. What once seemed like harmless mentorship now appears potentially predatory when viewed through the lens of the current allegations. The studio interaction, which occurred when Bieber was still a teenager, carries hallmarks of manipulation techniques that experts identify in abusive relationships: public shaming, creating guilt, and establishing dominance. In the video, Diddy's body language is particularly revealing. He stands uncomfortably close to Bieber, arm draped possessively around the younger star's shoulders. When Bieber offers his explanation about not having Diddy's number, the music mogul's expression shifts momentarily to what body language experts might identify as contempt or disbelief. Throughout the exchange, Bieber appears nervous, his usual confidence noticeably diminished in Combs' presence. He shifts his weight from foot to foot, avoids sustained eye contact, and his voice takes on a higher, more submissive tone. Former FBI behavioral analysts who have reviewed the footage note that Bieber displays classic signs of discomfort around someone perceived as a threat, behavior consistent with victims interacting with their abusers in public settings. There's a visible power dynamic at play, explained one former analyst who reviewed the clip. The younger person is exhibiting stress responses while attempting to maintain a socially acceptable facade. While this analysis doesn't prove anything definitively, it adds another disturbing layer to the relationship between the two stars. Other videos have surfaced showing similar dynamics. At award shows and industry events, cameras caught brief moments where Bieber appeared to tense up when Diddy approached. In one particularly telling incident at the 2015 American Music Awards, Diddy embraced Bieber on stage while presenting him with an award. What should have been a celebratory moment was marked by what appeared to be Bieber's momentary freeze response, a reaction trauma specialists identify as one of the body's instinctive responses to perceived danger. Industry insiders have begun speaking anonymously about witnessing concerning interactions between the two. One former studio engineer told a music blog, "There was always something off about how Diddy acted around Justin. Too handsy, too controlling. People noticed, but nobody said anything because, well, it's Diddy." This culture of silence, where people recognized inappropriate behavior but felt powerless to intervene, mirrors patterns seen in other entertainment industry scandals. But perhaps most disturbing is the infamous 48 Hours with Diddy video that Bieber uploaded to his YouTube channel when he was just 15 years old. In the clip, Diddy speaks directly to the camera about spending 2 days with the teenage star. They're having the times of their lives, Diddy says about Bieber and his friend. Like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. The statement, innocuous at the time, now carries frightening implications in light of the criminal charges against Diddy. When this video first appeared online in 2009, it generated little controversy. After all, mentorship between established stars and newcomers wasn't unusual in the music industry. But viewing it today, knowing what federal prosecutors allege about Diddy's behavior behind closed doors, the footage becomes deeply unsettling. Child protection advocates who have reviewed the video point to several red flags that should have raised concerns even then. The first is Diddy's strange opening statement about not having legal guardianship of Bieber, an odd disclaimer that seems unnecessary unless there was some reason to clarify the nature of their relationship. Why would a 40-year-old man need to specify that he wasn't legally responsible for a teenager he was spending time with? The statement seems designed to preemptively address questions that hadn't been asked. Then there's the secrecy. Where are we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. This implied that whatever was happening between them needed to be kept hidden, creating a dynamic of shared secrets between an adult and a minor. Child safety experts identify secret keeping as a common element in grooming behavior, where adults gradually normalize inappropriate activities by establishing that certain things must remain private. Perhaps most troubling is Bieber's demeanor throughout the video. While he maintains his typical teenage confidence, there are moments where his expression changes when Diddy speaks. Subtle flinches and nervous glances that behavioral analysts suggest indicate discomfort. At one point, when Diddy mentions going full crazy, Bieber's smile appears forced, not reaching his eyes in the way genuine expressions of happiness do. The timing of this video coincided with Bieber's transition from YouTube discovery to mainstream star, a vulnerable period, when he would have been eager to please industry power brokers who could make or break his career. Former child stars who have reviewed the footage have commented on the familiarity of the dynamic. "I've been in rooms like that," one former teen actor shared anonymously. "You laugh at the jokes. You go along with whatever they want because your entire future depends on making these people happy. Looking back now, I recognize how messed up it was. What happened during those 48 hours? The video provides few concrete details, showing only brief snippets of Bieber touring Diddy's mansion and sitting in luxury cars. But the implications of what occurred off-camera have become the subject of intense speculation as the criminal case against Diddy progresses. Without direct testimony from Bieber himself, we may never know the full story of what transpired between them. The video continues with Diddy showing off a luxury car, telling Bieber, "As soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let you rock this every time in LA. Gifts, special access, exclusive opportunities. These are classic grooming tactics that predators use to gain trust and access to potential victims. Industry insiders have long whispered about the open secrets in Hollywood, particularly regarding powerful men and vulnerable young stars. But as with Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein before him, the question remains: how many people knew what was happening and chose to remain silent? Gift giving has long been recognized by child safety experts as a common grooming strategy. In this case, the promised gift, access to a luxury vehicle, carried additional significance. It wasn't just any present, but one that symbolized adult freedom, a gateway to a world of privilege and status that would be intensely appealing to a teenager still years away from the legal drinking age. The car represents mobility, independence, and adult status, all things that would be powerfully attractive to a 15-year-old boy suddenly thrust into an adult industry. More concerning is the conditional nature of the gift. As soon as you turn 16 implies an ongoing relationship, a promise that creates an expectation of continued closeness and obligation. Experts in predatory behavior note that this kind of promise serves multiple purposes. It creates anticipation and dependency in the potential victim, establishes the giver as someone with resources and power, and sets up a dynamic where the younger person feels indebted. The luxury car was reportedly just one of many gifts and experiences Diddy allegedly offered Bieber. According to sources close to the music industry, these included exclusive access to industry parties, introductions to other celebrities, designer clothing, and possibly even more extravagant items. Each gift would have deepened the sense of obligation and made it increasingly difficult for a young person to extricate themselves from the relationship. This pattern of behavior aligns disturbingly well with what prosecutors now allege was Diddy's broader operating strategy. The criminal indictment describes how Combs would allegedly use his wealth and industry connections to create dependency in victims before escalating to exploitation and abuse. While the current charges focus primarily on adult victims, the tactics described by prosecutors bear striking similarities to what child protection advocates identify as grooming behavior. What makes this situation even more troubling is the apparent lack of intervention from adults who should have been protecting Bieber. Where were the parents, managers, and other responsible adults when a 15-year-old boy was spending unchaperoned time with a man known for his wild parties and adult lifestyle? Some former child stars have suggested that the allure of success and money sometimes leads parents and guardians to overlook concerning situations, prioritizing career advancement over safety. The entertainment industry's structure further complicates matters. Unlike regulated workplaces with HR departments and clear reporting mechanisms, the music business, especially at its highest levels, operates through informal networks and relationships. Power is concentrated in the hands of a few kingmakers, like Diddy, creating an environment where victims and witnesses alike fear career destruction if they speak out. It's not like you can file a complaint with HR when you're dealing with someone who can make one phone call and end your entire career, explained one music industry veteran who requested anonymity. Over the years, Bieber has struggled with the pressures of fame in very public ways. From legal troubles to substance abuse issues to mental health challenges, his journey has been marked by periods of erratic behavior and apparent distress. While there's no confirmed connection between these struggles and any potential abuse he may have experienced, trauma experts note that acting out behaviors are common responses to childhood and adolescent trauma. In a revealing 2020 interview with Apple Music, Bieber expressed his desire to protect other young artists like Billie Eilish from experiencing what he went through in the industry as a teenager, though he notably didn't elaborate on what those experiences were. Justin Bieber's public struggles have been well documented, from the 2014 DUI arrest where he was caught drag racing in Miami Beach, to damaging a neighbor's house in an egg-throwing incident, to being photographed using illicit substances. These incidents were initially dismissed as typical celebrity bad behavior or the rebellion of a young star unable to handle fame. But mental health professionals who specialize in trauma suggest these patterns might indicate deeper issues. Dr. Rebecca Thompson, a clinical psychologist specializing in trauma who has not treated Bieber but has studied child star phenomena, explains, when we see young celebrities exhibiting clusters of self-destructive behaviors, substance use, risky decision-making, emotional volatility, we should consider whether these might be maladaptive coping mechanisms for underlying trauma. The entertainment industry is particularly dangerous because these behaviors are often normalized or even encouraged, rather than recognized as potential cries for help. Bieber's own statements about this period offer clues that his troubles went beyond typical teenage rebellion. In his 2020 YouTube documentary series, Seasons, he spoke candidly about turning to heavy drugs to cope with the pressures of fame. "I was like dying," Bieber said in the documentary. "People don't know how serious it got. It was legit crazy." crazy scary. I was waking up in the morning and the first thing I was doing is popping pills and smoking a blunt and starting my day. His security team would reportedly check his pulse throughout the night to ensure he was still breathing. A chilling detail that suggests his substance use had escalated to potentially life-threatening levels. This extreme behavior, occurring in his late teens and early 20s, coincided with the years following his close association with Diddy and other powerful industry figures. Perhaps most telling was Bieber's 2020 Apple Music interview, where he expressed concern for then-rising star Billie Eilish. "If she ever needs me, I'm going to be here for her," Bieber said, becoming visibly emotional. "I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody." When pressed about what specifically he was referring to, Bieber declined to elaborate, but his tears spoke volumes. This protective instinct toward another young artist suggests Bieber experienced something traumatic that he wishes to shield others from, something beyond the normal challenges of fame. Child psychologists note that this kind of protective response is common among survivors of abuse or exploitation, who recognize the same patterns that led to their own victimization potentially happening to others. Bieber's spiritual awakening in recent years, including his deep commitment to Christianity and his close relationship with Hillsong Church pastors, has been interpreted by some mental health professionals as a search for healing and meaning after trauma. Finding structure, community, and a moral framework outside the entertainment industry could represent an attempt to process and recover from negative experiences during his formative years. After years of rumors and speculation, Justin Bieber's representatives have finally broken their silence on the matter. As the first week of Diddy's criminal trial came to a close, Bieber's camp released a carefully worded statement to TMZ. Although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. The timing of this statement, coming during Diddy's criminal trial rather than during any of the previous civil lawsuits or media scandals, suggests a calculated decision to distance Bieber from the case while acknowledging the legitimacy of the allegations against Diddy. The statement came after increasing pressure on social media for Bieber to address his past relationship with Diddy. As video clips from their interactions went viral and speculation mounted, the silence from Bieber's camp became increasingly conspicuous. Legal experts suggest that the timing of the statement, after the prosecution had presented their opening arguments and initial testimony but before the defense had fully responded, indicates careful strategic planning. This statement accomplishes several things simultaneously, explained entertainment attorney Melissa Rodriguez, who has represented celebrities in high-profile cases but is not involved with either Bieber or Diddy. It creates clear distance between Bieber and Combs, acknowledges the validity of the victim's claims, and preemptively shuts down any speculation that Bieber might be called as a witness later in the trial. The very fact that Bieber felt compelled to issue a statement at all speaks volumes. Celebrities typically avoid commenting on ongoing criminal trials unless they have direct involvement or feel their reputation is at risk. By choosing to speak now, Bieber's team signals that they view the associations between him and Diddy as potentially damaging enough to warrant explicit disavowal. Behind the scenes, the statement reportedly followed intense discussions among Bieber's management team, legal advisors, and publicists. Sources close to the singer indicate that he has been deeply disturbed by the allegations against Diddy and has been struggling with how to address his past association with the music mogul. The final wording was reportedly reviewed by multiple attorneys to ensure it neither interfered with the ongoing criminal case nor exposed Bieber to any potential legal issues. The statement also came shortly after a fake TikTok video began circulating, claiming that Bieber had announced he would testify against Diddy. While this video was quickly debunked, it added pressure on Bieber's team to clarify his position. The velocity with which misinformation spreads in the social media age creates unique challenges for celebrities navigating high-profile scandals, often forcing them to respond to false narratives before they spiral out of control. Some crisis. Management experts have questioned whether the statement goes far enough, noting that it doesn't address the nature of Bieber's relationship with Diddy, or explain why he maintained a connection with someone he now acknowledges has genuinely harmed others. This omission leaves room for continued speculation about what Bieber may have witnessed during his time in Diddy's circle, even if he maintains he was not personally victimized. What makes the statement particularly noteworthy is the language used. Bieber's representatives didn't refer to alleged victims or accusers. They specifically stated that individuals were genuinely harmed by Combs. This phrasing leaves little room for interpretation. It's an acknowledgement that Diddy did, in fact, cause harm to others, And by referring to these individuals as victims who rightfully deserve justice, Bieber's camp is essentially validating the criminal case against the music mogul. Legal analysts have been quick to point out the significance of this linguistic choice. In the carefully crafted world of celebrity statements, every word is scrutinized and deliberate. The decision to use definitive language rather than qualifiers like alleged or claimed represents a clear position that Bieber believes the accusations against Diddy are credible. This isn't standard PR language, notes Crisis Communications expert Janice Miller. Typically, statements about ongoing criminal matters use much more cautious terminology to avoid potential legal implications. The directness here is striking and suggests Bieber's team made a conscious choice to stand firmly on the side of those accusing Combs. The term genuinely harmed carries particular weight. It conveys not just physical injury, but emotional and psychological damage as well, aligning with the kinds of trauma described by Diddy's accusers in both civil lawsuits and the criminal case. By acknowledging this harm as genuine, Bieber's statement implicitly counters any defense narrative that might attempt to portray accusers as opportunists or attention seekers. The phrase, "justice these victims rightfully deserve," further reinforces this position. It frames the criminal proceedings not as persecution or overreach, as defense teams often argue, but as a legitimate pursuit of accountability for real wrongs committed. Coming from someone who was close to Diddy during the period when some of the alleged crimes took place, this endorsement of the victim's right to justice carries significant moral weight. Linguistic analysis of the statement also reveals what's conspicuously absent. There's no expression of shock or surprise at the allegations, no indication that this behavior was out of character for the Diddy that Bieber knew. This omission could be interpreted to suggest that what's being alleged against Diddy isn't entirely inconsistent with behavior Bieber may have witnessed or heard about during his time in Diddy's circle. What's also missing is any personal reflection on Bieber's part about his own relationship with Diddy. The statement neither apologizes for his past association with the music mogul nor explains why he maintained that relationship for years. This absence has led some victim advocates to question whether the statement goes far enough in addressing Bieber's own potential complicity in normalizing Diddy's behavior and public image. One of the more recent and strange interactions between Bieber and Diddy occurred in 2021. In video footage, Bieber greets Diddy with what appears to be genuine warmth, but something odd happens. Diddy seems to pat down Bieber's chest in what some have speculated was checking for a wire. While this interpretation can't be confirmed, the interaction adds another layer of suspicion to their already complicated relationship. Despite this awkward encounter, the two would go on to collaborate on Diddy's 2023 track Moments from his album, The Love Album, Off the Grid. The entertainment industry's response to the Diddy scandal reveals a climate of fear. Unlike some previous high-profile cases where celebrities rushed to defend the accused, very few have spoken up for Diddy. According to former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, who has commented on the case, this seems like it was one of the worst-kept secrets in Hollywood. How can you sexually abuse or assault people for a span of years or decades and people not know? The silence from Hollywood suggests that many are terrified of being implicated or associated with Diddy's alleged crimes. Legal experts following the case believe this is just the beginning. If Diddy is convicted, more victims may feel empowered to come forward with their stories, potentially implicating other powerful figures in the industry. The case bears striking similarities to other recent entertainment industry scandals, where an initial breakthrough led to a cascade of revelations. As one legal commentator noted, there are people that probably are afraid of him, and if he is indeed locked up for the rest of his life, I think they will be more empowered to come forward. What happened during those 48 hours when a 15-year-old Justin Bieber was with Diddy? We may never know the full truth. But what's becoming increasingly clear is that the entertainment industry harbors dark secrets behind its glamorous facade. As Diddy's trial continues and more witnesses take the stand, the public may learn even more disturbing details about how one of music's most powerful figures allegedly exploited his position, and who might have known about it. For now, Justin Bieber's cryptic statement acknowledging victims who deserve justice stands as a damning indictment from one of the industry's biggest stars, suggesting that where there's smoke, there is indeed fire.